One of the most important packaging of a politician in Africa here is having a contact, or rather is the international network. International network is very important even for fundraising. And it also gives you political clout. But I want to make an observation that I think Kenyans have been talking about, and that is about Rigathi Gachagua. And someone just asked me today, my good friend from Germany, asked me a question that I want to answer in this podcast. He asked me, Kevin, recently Kenya welcomed the deputy president from Colombia. Welcomed in Kenya. And he said, in he was telling me, Kevin, I would want to see Rigathi Gachagua in Europe. Why do you think Rigathi is not going to Europe? Hey, what? What do you think? Because since swearing in last year, he has gone to 3 foreign trips. All of them are in Africa. And number 2, I also want to show you the profile of those trips. Because when you understand the profile, you will also find out probably why he's not yet heading to Europe. In October last year, accompanied by the youthful members of parliament, Kina Linet Toto and the rest, the deputy president attended a youth summit, Youth Connect Summit in Rwanda. And that was his first foreign trip, outside trip, as a deputy president. And after that, in December, he again flew to Angola to represent Ruto in a summit known as Organization of African, Caribbean and Pacific States. It was in December. It was bringing together some heads of state. He represented William Ruto there. Then in April, now those are the only 2 trips in 2022. Now in 2023 he has made 1 trip. And that trip is the 4 days working tour of Botswana, and represented Ruto again in a summit that was, is it under Forbes 40 under 40? Another very low-key event. That's the truth. The Botswana summit was a very low-key. It's not bringing that quite a big number of heads of state. Now, I know that many were asking about him not representing president in Bujumbura during the EAC, East African Community. I think that was convened by the UN Secretary General. By that time, President Ruto was also in Britain for, I think, coronation of the king, and so probably that's why they sent Musalia Mudavadi. This video. But I want you to look at this video. This was Musalia Mudavadi meeting Uhuru Kenyatta in Burundi. Try to replace Musalia there with Rigathi. If Rigathi was the person who was in that place, what do you think would have happened? Do you think he would have welcomed the president, or we would have seen some vipindire? Rigathi, Musalia Mudavadi has made, I think, 1 foreign trip to, I think, Azerbaijan. I think I've seen that. That's one I remember. But he might also have attended one United Nations General Assembly accompanying President William Ruto. You can find out that. Do you know that Moses Kuria, who is industrialization, trade and industrialization CS, but has also been touted as Ruto's deal maker, has met more presidents both in Africa and Europe, I think more than even Alfred Mutua, who is the Foreign Affairs CS, and Rigathi Gachagua combined. And at one point, we even raised questions that some of the high-profile engagements that with the heads of state that Moses Kuria is making. Why not together Gachagua? Moses Kuria have met Museveni in Malawi, was in Malawi, was in South Africa, was in Burundi, was in Egypt. So he's made a lot of contacts in the around the continent and even in the globe. The person who was the deal maker of the G2G, government-to-government oil deal, Saudi Arabia. And you can name them. So you'll realize that he's been at the center of high-profile negotiations on behalf of Kenyan government, while many would believe that in the absence of William Ruto, he should be represented by his deputy. But I want to say, in the office holders of deputy presidents always have a problem getting this, and I don't know what happens, because even William Ruto suffered this challenge. His clout in the international scene really was suppressed. He made very little foreign trips. The first high-profile foreign trip that Ruto made was in February to US, when I think around preparing for the elections. That was the first high-profile. The rest, it is not. So it is not by default. Holders of the office of the deputy president, I think they are really, they're normally suppressed to some extent. Regard is yet to go to Europe. Yes, I now to my viewer, that's it. That's the truth. So he's asking what exactly it is. And before I look at, I give out my point here. What do you think? What's running in your mind that is behind this? I need to tell you that before a deputy president flies out, he needs to seek permission and rather approval from the president. The president is his boss. And so remember last time when Ruto was being blocked from leaving, it was from head of public service, but of course, Kinyo by then, but really attributed his troubles to the fact that William Uhuru Kenyatta did not approve his travel. Now, I have some 4 reasons that is, to me, is behind this. I think Ruto lacks confidence in Rigathi Gachagua's diplomatic decency. He's not yet transitioned really well. And you can look at the level of political intolerance. He has not transitioned from the the power moment to settle down and come down as a deputy president. There are 2 instances I want to look at. When he met US Senator here, and allegedly the US Senator was asking for a handshake between Ruto administration and Raila Odinga. He's on record coming out to say what they discussed with the senator and saying that, he said his response to the senator was that America should not tell Kenya about a handshake because even themselves, despite of having a competition with Donald Trump, they've never had that competition. And I remember a friend telling me that, Kevin, what Rigathi Gachagua has just done is first releasing what, according to many, will be a confidential information. When the US Senator was coming here, even if his intention was to broker a handshake, I don't think they would want the global or rather other countries like China to know that US is interested in some sort of a handshake. And I remember a friend telling me that that was a blunder to leak even the details of these meetings, because that's not the first meeting that is leading. So they're normally very classified. And someone said that was a very classified information. To date, there are those who believe that handshake between Uhuru and Raila was brokered by some powerful leaders from the US. But that has remained a highly guarded secret. And to that extent, maybe it's profiled even by Europe as not very much dissent. So that's one instant. The second instant is Kasarani, the swearing in ceremony. That is an event that the whole world was watching. Kenyans from all over the world and other world leaders, because there were even other presidents. And there is a transition. But in that event, he decided to take the microphone and dismantle Uhuru Kenyatta, exposing, in the name of being truthful, but it was bordering he lacked some decency, some political decency. So this could be one of the reasons why Ruto is feeling a bit uncomfortable to say the amount that I would want to imagine a situation where is Europe and is telling the whites about, not the whites, he's telling maybe leaders from Europe about how our economy is dilapidated. How Ruto was frustrated by Uhuru Kenyatta, how Raila Odinga is disrupting them. Those are kind of things. I still don't believe he has transitioned. Maybe he's been taken through the process. Then the second thing, and this is one of the problems with this officer, immediately you become a deputy president, you normally inherit some silent presidential ambition because you're one step to the big office. So when you become a deputy president, it's normally a stepping stone to become a president. Even if you look at the history of this country, Daniel Arap Moi was a deputy president, was a vice president by the time Mzee Jomo Kenyatta died and he became president. Same with Kibaki. Kibaki was not a deputy president, a VP, but at one point he had also become a VP to Moi. Did he become a VP? Kindly, you can help me confirm. William Ruto. William Ruto deputized Uhuru Kenyatta for 10 years, and within those 10 years, he was strategizing for his presidential bid in 2022. That's also what's happening with Rigathi, and you will hear the leaders around from Mount Kenya saying that after Uhuru is himself is also trying to re-strategize, saying that UDA should lead for 100 years, so that after Ruto is him, and the discussion is going on. And so, what exactly is happening here is, because of harboring those presidential ambitions, no one would want, every president would want to destabilize him and make sure that you cut his international clout, international network, because that network has the risk of, one, being used to destabilize him. Or number two, even launching a presidential bid, even in 2032, even to create a breakaway. It's normally highly possible. And someone gave me a very wrong reason that if anything is to happen to Ruto, who is to take over? I'm telling you, there are Kenyans who also are not so much decent. Now, the other effect of Rigathi not even going to Europe here is, I also know he doesn't need it. But just quick elevation from first-time member of parliament to a deputy president. He did not take time to build a network. Even himself, he needs his own network. His own network. You can't depend on a network that will, on referrals, on go and represent me here, go and represent me there. Rigathi came from the civil service, I think from the chief DO and that, working as a PA, then became a first-time member of parliament, then from a member of parliament to the deputy president. There's some stages here that he has jumped. And I wanted to compare Rigathi Gachagua and, for example, Martha Karua. Martha Karua has been a CS, a minister, was a minister in Kenya during Uhuru Kenyatta, during Mwai Kibaki's time. And if you look at his political profile, the political profile has grown across all through the years. Look at Raila Odinga. One of the things that have been sustained Raila Odinga's presidential bids actually is the power of fundraising. And the power of raising those resources rests also squarely on your network, both locally and international network. So he's also lacking specific, a situation where you also have a friend, maybe like South African president is a personal friend to Raila Odinga. I remember in 2008 when PNU and ODM side were picking those who were to go to that negotiation, ODM picked Ramaphosa, Raila picked Ramaphosa, and PNU refused because Ramaphosa, the current South African president, is his personal friend. Look at how many trips Raila makes to South Africa. And even recently when he went to South Africa, he's not a president, he's just ODM leader, but met Ramaphosa. Now, that is not a network that you get by being a deputy president. That's a network that you make across the way. So because he lacks that is one of the challenges. Lastly, Ruto is not giving him that opportunity because I think he's also preoccupied and mostly occupied by Mount Kenya battles, or rather Mount Kenya issues. He's really trying to cut a niche. And the niche he's cutting now is just mountain, milkman, coffee, tea. That's the niche that the deputy president is actually trying to cut. And it's because I think he's not, I may look that he's not so much acquainted with the reality. Because the reality here is, you can look for votes in the ground, but the role that international network plays in election in Kenya cannot be underestimated. And were it not for the international community, I still believe that Raila Odinga will have been announced the president. But were it not for the international community. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what you think. You are also a member of this channel. You're also Kenyan. Give me your feedback on what you think. And thank you very much for watching. Let's meet tomorrow.